Joining me live is the Managing Director of Equity Research at Wedbush Securities, Daniel Ives. Daniel has been on Wall Street for 2 decades. And Daniel, you pretty much called this move. Why?
I mean, look, ultimately, I think in this game of high-stakes poker, the board was playing checkers and Musk was playing chess. I mean, it really came down to, was there another bidder, another white knight? They ultimately looked at the story private equity, but did not go down the bid path. Musk outlined his financials late last week, and the board, their back was against the wall to strike a deal, which is why ultimately the soap opera ends with Musk owning Twitter.
Daniel, it's a huge amount of money. Is it even making that much? I mean, how does Elon Musk monetize it and get his money back?
But he's betting about 20% of his net worth on Twitter, as well as trading a handful of his Tesla shares for Twitter. So he's making a big bet here. Look, I think there's a lot of problems at Twitter, well documented the last decade. It's really been an uphill challenge. And I'd say the easy part was buying Twitter. The hard part's going to be fixing it. But with Musk, betting against him has been the wrong bet. Because if you look what he's done with Tesla, SpaceX, PayPal, he's had, really a golden success story. That's going to be the focus going forward, how he changes Twitter and monetizes it.
So what do you think he'll do with it?
Well, I think first he's going to change it to a subscription platform, probably a monthly fee. They'll get rid of a lot of the bots, much more user input in terms of the platform. And then I think he's going to try to increase advertising. Now, look, I mean, the elephant in the room is the freedom of speech, because fundamentally that's why he's buying it. Does that become a cesspool, or does it help the platform? And I think that's a tightrope going forward for Twitter. But the one thing I know is that right now, this has been just a massively disappointing asset in the social media arms race for the last decade. Musk is clearly going to fix some of it, challenges ahead. But when it came to the board, I mean, they never thought they'd be looking across the table at their boss, who's now Musk.
Yeah, certainly. You're spot on with that one. But, I mean, bots are a problem, obviously, and the anonymity of Twitter, which it's what makes it so toxic sometimes. Why hasn't the current board sought to fix that? Is it because it's quite difficult to do, or because they weren't motivated to do so?
I mean, the current board, at least in the eyes of the street, they were more focused on maybe playing golf than fixing the company. and I think that's really been the issue. That's why Musk went after Twitter. The board, they try to do a poison pill, scary press releases. But at the end of the day, it goes back to he was playing chess, they were playing checkers. There was no other bidders. And that's why in this Game of Thrones, ultimately Musk ends up with Twitter. And now the board and a lot of their executives will no longer be there.
So when we talk about paying $60 billion dollars, I should say, that's in Australian dollars now that we're talking about. Subscription, yeah, sure, we'll get a bit of that money back, but it might also see some people leave the platform. So is it advertising where that big cohort of that money is going to be made up?
Will be advertising and subscription. But look, I mean, let's just call it like it is. Musk, unlike any other acquisition in the history of Wall Street, the financial gain is actually not the first reason he's doing it. Because if he was, he wouldn't be buying Twitter. And it goes back to when you're worth $275 billion, and he just got $25 billion of Tesla stock last week. He now is going to try to transform the platform. Monetization will ultimately come down the road, but at least in the near term, he's going to have a lot of heavy lifting to do to really change the Twitter platform. And many users might leave, but that's why right now there's a lot of scratching of heads, why he'd want to trade in Caviar, his Tesla shares, for what I view as a $2 slice of pizza in Twitter.
That's a really good way to put it. Daniel, what kind of boss do you reckon he'll be?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't think he's going to be one to have the ping pong tables and the golden retrievers coming in for lunch. It's going to be a little different environment with Musk. And that's why at Twitter headquarters, there's probably going to be a lot of resumes coming out of there, because Musk is he's someone that drives hard business, and we've seen it with Tesla and SpaceX. And I think for Twitter, I mean, this is really going to be a big wake-up call, I think, for a lot of the employees. Some might like it because, again, Musk, he's a hero to some, he's a villain to others.
Daniel Ives, a pleasure to talk to you live from New York this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.